there are literally thousands of videos online that explain exactly how to hit tennis techniques like professional tennis players. But despite that fact, you can go to any club or park courts in any country in the world, and very few players have high-level tennis technique. So the question is why, and what can you do about it if you want to develop high-level technique? And what it comes down to is there are three keys, three things that you need to have or you need to do if you want to develop high-level tennis technique. And I'm going to explain what they are in this video. Now, this is a process that I've gone through myself. I grew up playing tennis, but I wasn't amazing. My technique wasn't good enough, and because of that, I only got to a certain point. It wasn't until I got much older that I learned how to address all of the underlying problems with my technique, and I got to a pretty good level. But then unfortunately, I injured my shoulder in a mountain bike crash, and I've had to stop playing with my right hand, and now I'm learning to play again left-handed, and within a very short space of time, using these three keys, I've been able to develop a relatively high-level technique with my left hand as well. So I'm very confident that this process works, and I'm going to explain the three keys in this video. So hopefully you find it helpful. If you do, it'd be awesome if you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, it's much appreciated if you could do that as well. The first key to developing high-level tennis technique is consistent, high-quality practice. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because I've got other videos that talk about it, and I'll place a link down in the description for one of those videos. But high-quality practice means working on the right thing, working on it at the right level of difficulty, and doing enough repetitions to fix the underlying problem before moving on to the next thing. Most people don't do that. Most people go out there, they try and work on too many things all in one go. They end up spinning their wheels and never really improving. But to learn more about practice, check out the video below. The second key to developing high-level tennis technique is something that you won't have heard about before, but it is probably the most important thing in tennis, even more important than the way that you practice, because if you don't have this key in place, you'll never be able to improve past a certain point. And this key is you need to have a visual system that functions really well. Everything that you do in tennis is based on how well you can see. So you have to be able to quickly read the flight of the ball and predict where it's going so that you can prepare early and set up in the right position for your shots. You also need to be able to read the distance and the speed of the ball to start your swing at the right time. Then you need to be able to track the ball effectively through to contact to hit with consistency. If your visual skills aren't functioning at a sufficiently high level, it maxes out the level of tennis you'll be able to play, and you simply will not be able to make the adjustments and time the ball in the way that you need to develop high-level strokes. The good news is that vision is actually very trainable, and to help you with that, I've created a free Tennis Vision Starter program. I'll place a link to the free program up there and down in the description so that you can check that out if you would like to take your visual skills to the next level. The third key to developing high-level tennis technique is another one of those things that you won't have heard about before, but it is equally as important as the visual side of things, and that is you need to have really good coordination. Every single shot that you deal with is different. All of the techniques are different, and even if we just think about the forehand, sometimes it's a low forehand, sometimes it's at waist height, sometimes it's up high. You've got open stance, you've got neutral stance, you can hit the ball flat, you can hit it with different spins. There's a lot of different options. They're all slightly different, and you have to have the body control to make it happen. So you have to read the flight of the ball, you have to start your swing at the right time, you have to be able to sequence your body in the correct order to effectively use your kinetic chain, and then you have to adjust the speed of your kinetic chain and your swing relative to the ball that you're trying to hit and with the type of shot that you want to play. And to do that, you need to have amazing coordination. And again, the reality is most players don't have the coordination required to play tennis in the way that they want. That's why they can't develop high-level techniques. It's as simple as that. The good news though is that you can actually train and improve your coordination just like you can improve your vision. So I want to show you a very kind of simple training progression for one of the parts of the body that I find a lot of players struggle with, because I've assessed hundreds of tennis players and most of them don't have sufficient movement in this area. And the golden rule for kind of tennis movement is if you can't control your body or a certain part of your body standing in your front room like I am here, then it doesn't magically happen when you're on court. So give this coordination progression a try and see how well you can do it. So we're going to be working on the shoulder blade. Being able to control your shoulder blade is really important. The first variation that we're going to go for, you're going to keep your arm completely straight and you're going to keep it to parallel to the floor. So you've got to keep it like that at all times, and then you're just going to try and glide your shoulder blade forwards and then pull it back. You're just going to go forwards and back just a few times to see if you can actually do that without the arm bending, without the spine moving, and lots of different things happening. The next progression is you're just going to try and lift your shoulder up to your ear and then lower it down. And as you do it, the arm is going to stay completely straight and the arm is going to stay parallel to the floor. Can you do that? If you can't do either of those, it's because of a lack of coordination. So you can practice that to improve your coordination. The next progression from there is going to be to turn that into a circle. And again, the same rules apply. I've got to keep my arm completely straight and I've got to keep my arm parallel to the floor. So if I'm doing this or if I'm doing that, that's not coordinated movement. We want it under control. Do circles in one direction, do circles in the other direction. Okay, so that's the first progression. The second progression is, can you do that with internal rotation? Sometimes when you're hitting the ball, your shoulder has to be in different positions. So can we do internally rotated, gliding forwards and back? Can we do internally rotated, going up and down? And then can we do shoulder blade circles, internally rotated? And again, the rules are the same. You've got to try and keep your head still, your spine still, your arm straight, and your arm parallel to the floor. Are you able to do that? If not, it indicates a lack of coordination. You can train it and you can work on it. And then the next variation of that is going to be externally rotated. So those same things, can you go forwards, backwards, up, down, and then do the shoulder blade circles, keeping the head still, keeping the arm straight, keeping the arm parallel to the floor. So that's our first set. The next set is going to be to repeat the process, but with a bent arm. Again, sometimes when you're hitting shots, your arm needs to be straight, sometimes it needs to be bent. You need to be able to control your shoulder blade, your scapula, with lots of different variety of position. So starting in neutral, can I go forwards and back, up and down, and then turn that into circles. Now obviously the arm doesn't have to be straight here, but we do want to keep the upper arm parallel to the floor. So can you do that with your arm in neutral? Then can you do that with your arm in internal rotation? So forwards and back, up and down, and then the circles. And then finally, can you do that in external rotation? Forwards and back, up and down, and then the shoulder blade circles in both directions. So that's a coordination training progression that you can use for your shoulder blades, one of the most important parts of the body for controlling your shots. Were you able to do it? If you weren't, then it's a really good idea to practice and try and train that to improve the quality of that movement. Now obviously this is just one part of the body, but the same rule applies to the rest of the body. Your hips need to be coordinated, your spine needs to be coordinated, your wrist and forearm need to be coordinated. But by training your body in this way, especially if you start working on that free vision program as well, you can start to improve your eye to hand, your eye to foot coordination. And when you combine that with good quality on-court practice, you can really start to develop high-level tennis techniques. So hopefully this video has been useful for you. You've got a couple of resources. You've got the free vision program, and then you've now got this progression that you can try with your shoulder blade. See how you get on with those. If you've got any questions about what I've covered here, leave them in the comment section down below and I'll try and get back to you as quick as I can. Otherwise, I will catch you next time.